Critical Role is already took 6 hours of my week because I watched the Thursday episode and then the Search for Grog, which was legitimately the best D&D show I've ever seen. Not even trolling. It was the best D&D show or session I've ever seen. It was so good. I haven't watched season 1 of Critical Role and only some of season 2. Can I watch Search for Grog or do I need context? I think you need context. But for people that watch the first, like I watched all of the Vox Machina stuff and only like some of season 2. I'm like just now starting to get into season 2 as I think it's like getting good. But ultimately it takes so much time, man. My top 2 are Words of Affirmation and Acts of Service. Yeah, that's mine too. I used to be much bigger in physical touch, and now I'm, like, much less. I think physical touch is probably one of my lowest ones. I don't know, actually. In some ways, and then other ways it's not. I took the test thing online, but I didn't know what I was doing. Once I understood it, Words of Affirmation, Acts of Service, and Words of Affirmation are equal, I think. And then, quality time, physical touch, receiving gifts, probably. My girlfriend is quality time, physical touch, which is great, actually. I would rather have someone with different love languages because it challenges me to be a better person, right? I think a lot of people would see it like, oh, I want someone with like the same love languages because then my relationship is easy. But it's like, I think it's better being different because they can teach you things and you can strive to be a better person overall. It allows you to express, view, and receive love in multiple ways, different days. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the cool thing is that like with two different, like if you have two different love languages, my girlfriend expresses her love languages and also expresses mine because she's trying actively and she's aware of them, right? And I'm trying to do the same thing. So you have 4 love languages being expressed in the relationship instead of 2 if we had both of those things being done. I don't know if that made sense. But like for like acts of service and things like that, I think I'm just like naturally, I didn't used to be this way, but nowadays, like I think I really focus on acts of service in a relationship. So like I try to clean everything. I try to like always have food prepared, like cook a lot, just like generally just like do things. But like I'm very aware of like quality time. I think the thing I have to get better at is physical touch. How are you doing? I don't know. Overall, I don't know. I think I've been just dealing with some depression. I don't know. For the last few weeks. But overall, I mean, I can't really complain. How old are you, Devin? I actually have no idea. No one does, yeah. It's one of those things no one knows. I'm not sure even I know. Found your stream and learned that when you were going through your breakup literally the same week I had the same experience. So nice to see you're doing okay in that regard now. Oh, yeah. It ended up being one of the best things that ever happened to me. Might have been the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. Like, rather than, like, actually existing. It's up there with, like, discovery, meditation, martial arts, finding green tea. It's, like, definitely up there. And the funny thing, too, is, like, when you have a breakup of that magnitude, you definitely don't think that. Because you're like, my life is actually over, you know? And it's so crazy, too, because, like, there were so many people that, for whatever reason, were going through the exact same thing. Like, a super long-term relationship was just ending at that week that I was going through that, too. And I have a lot of, my only regret from that moment that I think about a lot lately. So, oh, dude, this is going to be a set yourself up. This is a huge feels bad man moment. This is like probably the saddest thing I'm ever going to say on this stream. So if you will want to be really depressed, you should probably mute for a minute because here goes. When I was leaving Lake Tahoe, my parents simultaneously were moving out of the house that they'd been in for 12 years. And my parents, I found out, kept all of my stuff from my kindergarten and my just like when I was younger. And I don't have any memory of those things. I just don't remember what happened. All these little books that I wrote in, like all these things about who I wanted to be and everything. And so my parents were moving out of the house, and they were downsizing quite a bit. They were living in a pretty big house, and they were moving to a smaller house because they just wanted less maintenance, less stuff to deal with. My parents are getting older. And they told me, like, we can't keep this stuff. If you want it, you can have it. Otherwise, we're going to throw it away. It's just boxes and boxes of, like, my old homework, little things I put together for school projects, like little things that I made. And because I was going through my breakup, and the breakup was so bad, and simultaneously I was also, this was in December, or not in December, no, it couldn't have been December, because December we did the Marie Kondo. Oh, I understand why. I had read Marie Kondo's book 3 months before, and then December was when I got the idea for the book club. So this was in like September, and I said, like, basically I said, get rid of everything. I got rid of all of it. And that's like one of my biggest regrets is getting rid of all of that sentimental stuff, because I actually think Marie Kondo is super wrong when it comes to this. And is like getting rid of sentimental stuff can absolutely be a huge negative. And I almost think about that like every day is like getting rid of that stuff. So I got like I took pictures of it, luckily, and I still have those pictures. But yeah, I like maybe I could have kept like one box of things, but pretty much nothing survived from my past life, and it's actually been a huge source of my depression. I think is like all that stuff being gone really sucks. Yep, but that is my past life is gone. So yeah, I mean, like all of it got like the process of going through that was so bad that like I could not even think about my life in the future. I just wanted everything to burn from that past. And now like since having moved to Seattle, completely changed my life and everything, my life is objectively better in a lot of ways, but also a lot worse in some ways. I'm spending way more money. I feel much more lazy, less motivated. It's like I actually wrote this down when I was coming here today. I wrote it down. It's like, I see the person that I could be, the person that I should be, and it seems so clear how to get there, but every day I don't live up to being that person. And that's the major issue about what's wrong right now is like, I'm just not living my best self. I know I'm not. I'm constantly not. And not only am I not living my best self, I'm so far from it that it's a constant source of frustration for me. So like one of the things that I started doing, and maybe if I get brave enough, I'll like show you guys this at some point, is I started keeping a log of every single hour of my time. So I have a template. Here's what, I'll show you the template. I can do that, right? But I'm just not brave enough to show you guys like the actual weeks and stuff. But like, yeah, so this is the template. And so like it has like notes on the day. And then lately I've been doing a day rating, which I define as, is the day like a plus day, which means the day was like actually incredible? Was it a plus day? I learned this from a Tim Ferriss podcast. Was it a minus day or was it a minus day? So these days are like objectively like complete shit. And these days are like pretty bad, like what kind of bad, like focusing on the negative. These are like pretty like okay, but focusing on the positive. These are incredible days that are very memorable. And I've like been consistently having like really like not like minus days, but just like minus days. It's like overall negative. Anyway, so I just mark like for a lot of people, I think this might seem autistic, but like if you think about it, it doesn't take that much time. You just mark down what you're doing and just become aware of it, right? And that's it. It's like, it's really, really helpful. It's been really helpful for me to do this, but it's also drawn awareness to the sheer amount of time that I waste on just dumb bullshit. Like crazy stuff that is really a huge waste of time. And so I know by the hour how much time that I waste on things. And that if I just like didn't do that, man, like I think I could like send people to Mars and like cure cancer and like become a Super Saiyan. I mean, anything. Like, God, that amount of time is just so crazy. I like this idea. How long do you spend on filling it every day? I honestly, like, I'm probably spend 10 to 15 minutes every day total, right? In like 2-minute chunks. Like, I'll get to work. So what I usually do is I fill in the last like 5 hours. So like, if I get to work and I start streaming, I'll fill in the last night, and then like when I get home, I'll fill in what I did at work, and then when I go to bed, I'll fill in what I did that night. Does that make sense? So it really takes like 10 to 15 minutes. I think most people would be like, oh, it takes a huge amount of time. Like, I would never do that. But the ROI of it is actually really high because you figure out exactly where your time is going. And then what I do is I break it up, right? So I have time in the week, and then I have dead time. How much time is actually dead? Literally, I'm just staring into space, right? So for last week, it was 4 hours. 4 hours of my time last week was actually staring into space, doing absolutely nothing, right? How much time spent sleeping? How much time spent gaming outside of streaming? How much time spent streaming? How much time with my girlfriend? I have that because her love language is quality time, so I have to make sure that's up. So I just keep conscious of that. How much time was productive work? How much time was exercise? And how much time was dinner and eating? And again, that's just an integer, right? I just put that down in there. It's like, okay, 1. It's pretty easy, but it's been really valuable. It must keep you so much more accountable to yourself. Right now, what it's doing is it's making me aware of how much time I waste, which means I think I can start fixing it. And I also don't want to like, when I say fix it, like I also don't want to be in a place where I'm like, oh, I'm literally like this efficient robot 99.9% of the time, right? And there's like no dead time. I think the way that I could explain it is I want to make a conscious choice about these processes. Does anybody feel like this? Like, I don't feel like my time spent is often a conscious choice of mine. It feels like almost like someone else is making that choice. And if I want to make the choice to potato for 4 hours on auto chess, that's fine. But what I don't want to do is have my brain like automate that choice for me. I don't like that. That's not good. It's good to understand what you're actually spending your time doing, but it is wrong state of mind. It's incredibly dangerous. Important to understand we're all human. We need to do time to do nothing, relax. We don't need to be productive. Otherwise, they'll burn you out of all your motivation. Yeah, but I think people use that excuse to not track their time and then waste a huge amount of their life, right? Like, it reminds me of the Seneca quote. It is not that we have a short time to live, but we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough. Sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. But when it is wasted in heedless luxury and spent on no good activity, we are forced at last by death's final constraint to realize that it has passed away before we knew it was passing. So it is. We are not given a short life, but we make it short. We are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it. Life is long if you know how to use it. That was written 2,000 years ago. And it's just as true. It's more true today than it was then, right? The experience of being human doesn't really change, I think. But this, I would say that any danger of being, quote, burned out from motivation or any danger of like that mindset, to me, is dwarfed by the enormity of this reality and how important it is that we gain control of our life and don't waste our time. People that justify relaxation, I think, are hiding from this principle. The exception would be the few individuals I know that do what I would call conscious relaxation. And they set aside their time in such a way that their relaxation periods are conscious and effortful to accomplish that. Because when I talk about this concept, sometimes people immediately go to, like, oh, you never relax and you never work, like you never stop working. Like, that's not what I'm talking about at all. Like, what I'm talking about is becoming conscious. You can spend 14 to 16 hours of your day playing auto chess or whatever. That's totally fine, as long as you're very conscious of how that impacts your life in the short term and long term, and you've decided that's truly what you want to do. I suspect that most people that do that self-analysis will not come to that conclusion. Video games don't have that staying power as a like authentic way to live, I think, for the vast majority of people. They will have a great deal of regret from playing those games. It's not something, I know it's like, it might be like really hard for people to accept right now, but I think if you just think about it, it'll be, yeah. And like your experience of it's going to be subjective. This is a Jordan Peterson thing too, right? Is that like he did this for his students, and he was stunned by how much time that they self-admit that they waste, right? Like they just from like a casual questioning of them, they said that they wasted like 6 to 7 hours of their time every day. And that's without doing any of the stuff that I'm doing. It's like tracking my time or like becoming aware of that or things like that. Like, that's a pretty crazy number. I feel like this is a similar argument for a lot of bad habits like eating. You have to treat yourself even if you're being health conscious. It ends up being an excuse to unhealthily eat out of willful ignorance. Yes, that's so well said. 99% of the resistance to when I talk about self-improvement stuff is that. I think it's people people basically saying, oh, like, well, you can't be healthy all the time. Like, your life is going to be boring if you don't treat yourself to desserts or things like that. You know what? Like, that's the guy that's sneaking cookies every night, like me. Like, when I make excuses like that, the reality is you should be as draconian as possible, I think, and then pull yourself back, because you'll have those moments anyway. It just ends up being an excuse. Would you say day planning could fix most of this? I don't know what fixes it, because I'm still doing it, so I don't know. What's an example of something you'd like to do that's currently being spent wasted instead? Oh, man. I mean, where does it end? God, there would be so many things I could do with my time that'd be so much more rewarding, that make such a bigger impact. I could take an improv class. I could take a public speaking class. I could go to hot yoga at the night instead of coming home and playing Smash. I could meditate. I could read a book. I could work on my YouTube. I could work on making this show better, right? I could plan things for the show. I could do events for you guys. I could do things like challenges or things I mean, I literally could do so much more that would be so much more fulfilling than if I just went home and played video games. It'd be insane. Are you saying that time enjoyment is time wasted and time is valuable and should be used deliberately? Well, I'm saying a lot of things, but in the context of that statement, I'm saying that most people, I don't think, know what enjoying time really is. I think if you say, like, when I play auto chess or whatever, I'm enjoying that time in that moment. Man, Joe Rogan said this like really well on one of his podcasts. I'm not going to be able to find it, but he had like, Joe Rogan used to play like a lot of video games. The thing about playing video games or just like doing things like this, like where you're browsing Reddit and stuff like that, you're getting this like sense of enjoyment in it in the real time. But then what happens later is it like fades away, and that time is just like meaningless to you. It's really weird to explain. There's something ephemeral, something like short-lived or like transparent about gaming, and it's weird. It's like in the moment it's like great, but then afterwards it's like it's dull. And like if you spend years doing it, you look back and you're like, what the what am I doing? Like, it's so weird how that works. And there's some exceptions to this, right? So like for EverQuest 1 and like EVE Online, like I remember that time really fondly. I don't have regrets for those games. But I think I regret playing like League of Legends, and that's like 4,000 hours of my life. And like considering you can become a literal master at something in 10,000 hours or less, like you just think about that. Like, I don't know. I could be playing in like a rock band. I don't know. There's the experience of life is much more vibrant than from behind a screen, I think. But I do think there's a place for like, you should be able to sit down, play a game, and be like, I really feel good about doing this. I have a friend, I'm not going to shout him out, but he's a streamer on Twitch. Pretty big streamer. And he has recently like settled down and has a family. And before he never had a family. He just streamed on Twitch like 12, 14 hours a day. And now he doesn't stream as much. He's just kind of like chilling with his family. Still streams on a schedule, but like not as much. He's telling me, he's like, the time that I spent streaming was really good, but it's all like kind of mashed together, right? He's like, I can't reach in and pull out moments from it. It's all this kind of like big sandwich mashed together of ingredients. Whereas like my time with my family and my time that I have with them and my son and my wife is this like time that is like real and vibrant to me. That I can pull these individual, like this is the time that went here, this is the time that we did these things, and that like holds with me. That thing that he said, that stuck with me. That like there's something about like gaming where it all like comes together. Even though EverQuest was like one of the greatest experiences of my life, it's still like mashed together. I can't like pull out like individual experiences. I sort of can, like the first time we took down Nagafen, or like the first time that we cleared like Solusec B, or any of those things. The first time I was on like a PvP server, I can remember some things, but most of it like in the 4 years like mashed together compared to life experiences I've had. Like the first time I went to Korea, or the first time that I traveled all the way across the earth, or the first time that I did like a long-term meditation, or the first time that I won a tournament in martial arts. Like these things are way more vibrant than even my most Eve, even my best moments in Eve and EverQuest, but they're also scary. They were scary moments. It was scary to get there. It took a lot of work, but it was much more meaningful. The top experience I've had in gaming doesn't like come even close to like just getting off the plane in Korea, which is not a big deal. Much less like some of the top experiences I had. Like one time in Korea, I had a guide there that took me to the sort of Korean Day of the Dead, where everybody goes to this central cemetery in Seoul, and they all prepare food that they eat with each other and their families and their ancestors. And then if you have any extra food, you give it to other families that are around that you don't know. And everybody shares their stories about their father that died, or their grandfather, or whatever. That experience, for example, was like way higher than like Imbret battle and Eve. Even though that was an amazing experience, you just can't duplicate these things. They don't translate. There's something about life that's more vibrant for some reason. At the same time, I'm sure the decisions you made to Dig and CLG blend together to some extent, but they're much more meaningful than the ones that I made in gaming. Again, there's like a much more visceral feel to the things that I did at Dig and CLG. And also I mean, here's the thing, right? The things that Dig and CLG exist, right? The things that I did in EverQuest don't exist. They're in my memories and the memories of maybe a very few select people. But they don't have any staying power in the real world, which makes a difference. Like CLG is an organization that lived past my tenure as CEO there. It still exists. It's still doing things. They're still winning and losing games. Right? Same with Dignitas, kind of. and the things that I did, and this is something that I'm thinking about a lot lately, is like legacy. It's not something that I've ever thought about a lot. But are you creating... That's one of the things that's actually started to really bother me about Twitch streaming. I think the more that I think about that, the more that's going to bother me. Maybe if I think about this enough, I actually will stop streaming. Because streaming, the problem with Twitch is it creates no legacy. The Twitch live VODs just disappear, and then there's nothing. I was going through with the dude that's helping me with YouTube, and he was like, "Hey, do you have all the old VODs of like Gnomes, Tomes, and Catacombs?" And I was like, "Whoa, I don't." Because Twitch just deletes all of your VODs after 90 days. That stuff just doesn't exist anymore. Probably to save themselves money. It's like the most annoying thing ever because that stuff's gone. We're never going to have that stuff, right? I have like 90 days before now, and all those streams, it doesn't exist. So why should I bother streaming when I can spend that same amount of time on YouTube and that stuff actually exists forever? So I've been thinking about legacy more. But I mean, the thing is, I can probably do both. The solution is just to highlight the best parts of your stream and upload them to YouTube. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we determined. That's why I'm doing this. Is I was like, okay, like if I'm going to stream, I need this content to live somewhere. So here's the thing. This is the reason why I will probably keep streaming. Because, okay, so here's a perfect example, right? This discussion wouldn't have happened unless I had you guys, right? So on YouTube, I'm creating videos in a vacuum. I'm just creating things that are from my own brain. or from things that I find from third-party content. But on Twitch, we have a live stream kind of chat that's like bringing up questions and subjects that I can riff off of to have these interesting talks. And I cannot do that if I'm just a YouTuber. So like that I guess the whole point is like that stuff should exist somewhere. For you guys that have been in the stream for more than a year or more, how many talks have we had that have been like so influential or meaningful in some way that didn't live anywhere? They should live somewhere. That's the big importance of YouTube. So I'm not saying I'm gonna. And also the other reason is I actually just like the second part of our streams, which is like we have this kind of talk at the beginning and then we just like play games, and that's great too. The other actual issue with streaming though is right now, I think this is not going to be true later, but I'm thinking about this right now. It just doesn't make sense from an ROI perspective because I'm spending about 36 to 40 hours a week streaming, and the channel doesn't do. I really don't want to pull like a Bad Bunny here. But the channel just doesn't make money. It just doesn't. I think for whatever reason, and by ratio, people subscribe a lot less to this channel than they do other channels of the same size. People that are, we have around like 150, 200 viewers. Most people have a 3-to-1 subscriber ratio, which is like 500 to 600 subs, and we have about right now we have 190. So I don't know why that is. I think it might be because people already assume that I'm maybe very successful, and so they're like, that's fine. So the problem I'm running into with the stream right now is that it just doesn't make any money. It just doesn't like it, and so I need to think about. And instead of like being like, it's your fault, like I need to think about what I can do to try to fix that problem. And my YouTube is like an effort at doing that. I feel like if I make good enough content that lives somewhere, I could maybe do a Patreon or something for people that would support these kind of discussions. Yeah. So that's again, don't like as an individual, if you're here viewing the stream and you can't sub or just choose not to, you are still contributing a massive amount to the broadcast by being a viewer here. Don't think that you're not. This is more of a macro issue. Right? If I'm not accomplishing this because of my content, because I'm not doing the right thing somewhere, it's not you, it's me. I can't count how many deep or meaningful, helpful talks we've had over the years. I credit you with at least partially helping shape my mindset for success. Thank you so much, Ray Donick. It's awesome. I'm just attracting poor people on Twitch. Yeah. And part of it is me too. Is like I don't like ask people to subscribe or incentivize it very heavily. So all of it is me. It's just a lot I can work on. Okay, so the about section is updated. Now we have a new channel intro video too. So what I'd say is like if I can post, let's say like 30 videos on here in the next month, that I very well could justify like, hey, I'm running a Patreon where I do great content and live streaming, and it's discussion-based content on things that are relevant to the gaming industry and helpful to people about being your best self. And then people might want to support that. If they want to support it, and then the content is good. If the content's not good enough, then I probably will just stop doing it. Because think about it, right? Like as an executive, I can just take that 36 hours of time or whatever, throw that back into my business at Nerd Fusion or whatever else I might be working on right now, and it's going to produce way more ROI in terms of raw monetary value and probably influence too. So I have to weigh that. Weeks ago, you spoke about how it is much harder to be successful on Twitch now, and that was not your goal. Yeah, it isn't. Like my stream isn't. The goal isn't to become like a 10,000 current viewer streamer, right? But the broadcast has to sustain itself. The things that you're doing in your life like should sustain themselves. And if it doesn't, then it's not good. What's a meaningful use of time for someone who's too young to drive and have a job? Learn as much as you can. Develop skills. Yeah, so these are just things that I have to address. Or, and like ultimately it might just be like that there isn't just like a place for this kind of stuff on the internet. And if that's the case, then, I just need to do something else. I think it's 50-50. Like it might be that, or it might be that we just need to get exposed to a bigger audience. Don't know yet. We'll find out. Is there any particular reason Matt's forehead is your background? I don't know. We need to change that. Do you want to recommend a better background? It's pretty weird for the YouTube videos. Oh, God, that's so funny. I searched for gnome dabbing wallpaper, and I found my own content. This is from my own content. That's wild. I actually solved my own problem by going back into the future for what I needed. I don't know if that made sense, but that was one of the craziest things that actually just happened to me ever. Like, the old me supplied the content that I needed for the future me. That actually just happened. Thank you, Aurora. That means a lot. If enough people feel the way that you do, I'll keep doing it. And that's really what it comes down to, right? Is there just has to be enough support for it. Either my stuff isn't good or it's just not... I just think I don't think it's that my stuff isn't good. I think stuff is really good. I just think that like it doesn't... The platform of Twitch just doesn't make sense for a lot of what I do. Yeah. So what I would say is like, if I could go back in time to 2011 and start on YouTube versus Twitch, I think I would have done it. That's what I'm saying. I think that it makes a lot more sense for me to be on YouTube than it does on Twitch. But we're on Twitch now, so let's do both. How about that? Your stream content is more catered to a mature audience. Could that be why it's hard to grow your stream? It's hard to grow your stream because you can't grow Twitch streams anymore. That's why it's hard, right? So I'll just give you like an example, right? So today we're gonna play auto chess for a few hours. There won't be a single person that finds us in the Dota 2 category, just because that's how it works now, right? We won't be high enough in the category to get listed, so there won't be anybody that comes in. So the problem with growing a Twitch stream is you can't grow it on Twitch. I've talked about this issue a lot. It seemed to be an issue that maybe, I don't know, if I was running a company that I would pay attention to. But for smaller broadcasters, there's absolutely no way, unless you go outside of the platform, to bring people into your platform. So your content could be fantastic, but it'll just never be found. So the solution to that is to make your content live places, Medium, YouTube, things like that, right? Clips. Did being on Gnomes, Tomes, and Catacombs have a positive effect on your viewership? Oh yeah, all collab has a very positive effect on viewership, for sure. You can collab with bigger streamers. Yep. That's just not... that's just not realistic for most small streamers, unfortunately. The only way to counter this is to submit requests to be on the front page. You can, but funny enough, that actually doesn't equate to followers either. So I'll just throw a quick example up. This will blow your mind. So for this stream, 55% of my views, it's 23,887 in the last 30 days, come from the front page, because I'm featured on the front page quite often. And the amount of followers that actually converted from that was 0.03%. And this is not just me, right? I'm just giving it for my personal stream, but I have these stats across Twitch. The reason why that's so low is because people don't really consume the front page in that way, right? Usually if I go to the front page, I know where I'm going. I might be going to the left where I can click on some streamers that I follow. I also might be going into like a browse section, but I'll probably be doing something else. I probably won't click on UCI Esports, although me just being on this counts as a view here. I probably won't click on this and then go through and follow, because most people just don't use the website in this way. Does that make sense? So you actually don't get a lot of views from front page featuring at all. The Twitch has a real big problem with discovery for smaller streamers. Yeah, so the way that most people use the website, and the way that I use the website, right, is I do this. I go dir, right? I just type dir and I hit directory, and then no, sorry, is that what I do? And then I do this, and then if I see a game that I want to watch, like Dota 2, I'll look through the top like 5, and Otherwise, I'll look at my follow list and I'll see, oh, Dan's playing like Far Cry. Okay, I want to watch that, right? Or like Destiny's just chatting. Like, let's see what he's up to, right? This is how everybody consumes Twitch. So nowhere in that process is anything actually served to you for like smaller broadcasters. Have you considered starting a blog? I have one. Yeah, it's my Medium. And it's really good. There's some great articles on it. But like, I guess if your question's like, have you ever considered updating your blog? Yeah, that'd be one of the most useful things I could do. I love writing, and I think I'm a really good writer. Like this article I wrote about where Superman has gone in our society is like one of my favorite things that I've ever done. And God, I get so much value out of writing. I really should write more. Thank you. I'll take a show note on that. Yeah, so Twitch discovery is a really hard problem. Discovery in general on the internet is a really hard problem because there's so much noise. But platforms like Instagram are designed to serve content that you haven't seen before, and if you like it, to encourage you and incentivize you to follow that content. But Twitch is not designed that way. Twitch is designed to bring the content that is already the most popular to the top. And it's the only platform of its ilk that is like that. Even YouTube is not like that. YouTube will show you popular videos, but YouTube will show you results that are most relevant to your query. But what Twitch will do is just push the content to the top that has the most views, whether it is good or not. And this is the reason this happened is because Twitch didn't take the time to develop intelligent learning for whatever reason. What I mean by intelligent learning is it gathers data based on your usage of the platform and how you use it, and then recommends you relevant content based on that. They're only now starting to do this, and it's really rudimentary over the last like year, maybe 6 months. And they have so much to catch up to compared to like Instagram and YouTube. But it's objectively so much better for all of the smaller broadcasters. It's like not really great for the platform as a whole to have Shroud have 100K viewers. And I think Twitch doesn't understand this. It brings in advertising dollars in the short term because those 100K people watching Shroud are watching ads and subscribing. But in the long term, it doesn't interest brands or advertising dollars, which is the real money that's going to be made in this industry, because they would only have to work with Shroud. So if you had 15 to 20 broadcasters that had that distributed viewership versus Shroud, then those 15 to 20 broadcasters present 15 to 20 times the opportunities for advertising that one Shroud does. But Twitch doesn't incentivize viewers to distribute in that way, even if the content is more relevant to you. And the brass at Twitch, like the people that are in the top 1%, will do everything possible to prevent them from doing so. I was shocked when Amazon bought the platform. They didn't use their tools to do that fast machine learning because Amazon already had that stuff down pat. They did and they didn't, right? Amazon has that kind of stuff down for shopping but the serving content is like a different thing, right? The place where I think Amazon might be able to contribute, and I don't know if anyone's considered this in the team, is actually their Amazon, what's it called? Their live video platform. Well, I'm sure that has recommended statistics, and they could probably port that almost right over. Someone could argue that those users will not necessarily watch someone else. That someone is wrong, because YouTube has proven time and time again that there is more relevant content for each individual user if the machine learning is good enough, and those views can be distributed. They only watch that because that's what they're trained to watch. There's plenty of people that would enjoy a stream more than just watching Shroud stream, but they go and watch Shroud. Not to say that Shroud doesn't create great content. Shroud creates amazing content, but there's plenty of people that would get a better viewing experience objectively for them. And again, we have like a lot of the data to support this. But I don't think this will ever happen on Twitch. Ever happen is but it won't happen in like any like meaningful way. It's going to take a really long time for Twitch ML to catch up. What's going to happen instead is that like if people are going to be noticed, they have to be noticed through like clips on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that. Live stream fail.
Walk, little walk, small talk, big thoughts. Gonna tell them all just what I want. That street, 2 streets, I see you and me hanging on the empty swings. show.